Tamron Hall Show, and today we're going behind the headlines, things that have caught my eye, and I've said there's got to be more to this story. We are back with Brittany and Josh Patterson, the Georgia family, in the middle of a very serious legal battle after Brittany was arrested when her 10-year-old son walked alone to a nearby store. Take a look at the video of her arrest in front of her family. Take a look.
Okay, turn it for me.
Why?
Because you're under arrest.
For what?
For the incident we talked about earlier today.
What am I under arrest for?
For reckless endangerment.
And how was I recklessly endangering my child? Soren, call Mommy and tell them they're taking you to jail because you decided to walk down the street.
Let go of your hand.
That's not his fault.
Last time I checked, it wasn't illegal for a kid to walk to the store. So.
It is when they're 10 years old.
That video has our audience already reacting. Headlines around the country. The trial, I should mention, is still pending. Brittany's attorney, David DeLugas, joins us with even more shocking details that have come out since the video went viral. Brittany, I have to go back to that moment. I would imagine I would have been in disbelief. I would have said, you have to be kidding me. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And your family was there?
Yes.
Your kids?
All of my kids. Yeah.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Technically, yes.
Technically.
Long time ago when I was young and stupid.
We all have a past.
I didn't do anything then.
You didn't do anything then. But in seriousness, this was the first time you faced any serious interaction with authorities.
Yeah. I don't even have a speeding ticket.
And there you were in front of your kids. Mm-hmm. Did you feel anger, humiliation?
I felt it all. I felt it all. At first, I was shocked. I didn't know that was going to happen, so I wasn't quite sure what was going on. And then once I realized I was going to jail no matter what I said or you're not getting out of handcuffs. So I then started to get angry because they were doing that in front of my children.
What were the kids doing? Because we can't see them in that video. What were they doing?
So Soren was in the office there with me, that door you can see in the video. He was sitting in there with me, so he saw the whole thing from the very beginning. My other daughter was just in the other room. The older two were up in their bedrooms. So they were all home, but they all, I asked if I could say goodbye to my children, so they all came out. I gave them a hug. But yeah, I got angrier and angrier as it went on because it didn't have to be handled that way. They could have asked me to come down to the station. They didn't have to come to my home, do it in front of my children. It's not like I'm a violent criminal that just, did something terrible. So yeah, I felt all the emotions.
David, Brittany did not know that her son was on this walk, and he'd never walked this route before. He'd never done it before. Yeah. But you did not see it as a bad thing, the fact that he didn't tell you, or help me understand your feelings about it.
So I would always prefer my children to say, hey, is it okay if I do this? I'm going to be here. I mean, I have one that drives, so I do like to keep tabs on them somewhat. But it's not something that I would have said no to.
So if he'd asked you, you would have said, okay, he can walk on this.
Yeah.
David, in this case, you heard the law enforcement representative who, by the way, we've reached out, and the police said because this is an ongoing case that they won't comment on the specifics of it. But what shocked me, in addition to the arrest, afterwards, you're now facing a year in jail, $1,000 fine, and the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services asked Brittany to sign a child safety plan, which she declined. And then they asked, according to you all, for the 11-year-old Soren to have a tracking app on his phone.
Just because you call it a safety plan doesn't make it a safety plan. The biggest flaw in all of this is the name doesn't give safety to a child who was never unsafe to begin with. Secondly, even if you keep track of your child and know where your child is, that doesn't make your child more safe. You just know where they are, right? Now, putting a device on a child's phone or an app, well, the phone has to be charged. They have to remember to take it with them.
And you're assuming I want my kid to have a phone.
There you go.
Which some people see the phone, especially with social media, as dangerous as anything.
And that's an issue as well. It takes away the independence of the parent to decide for their child. And as I asked the assistant district attorney, are you going to require every parent in this county to do the same thing? Or just this thing?
Brittany, I read a quote from you. In a quote you said, it's your right to parent your children how you choose to do so.
Exactly.
That's a delicate one, though, right? Okay, I'll give you the seat belt, right? Some people like, I shouldn't have, I used to put my arm around it. They're fine. There are many times that parents feel that they know better, but the government has to institute laws to keep people safe.
Right.
This does not fall under that as you see it. But why do you see it as a cautionary tale to all the folks who are parents here and the people who are parents? I'm a parent.
Right.
Why do you think that this is something that should wake us all up?
I think just because there's certain laws that just make sense for all of us, right? I mean, obviously, it seems like it's a good idea to put on a seatbelt. So, I mean, that's a little easier to get on board with. But when it comes to something of, micromanaging what you do with your kids in that regard, like, how far do we say is it okay for your kid to go from home? And at what age is it okay for them? I mean, who decides that? And what gives them the authority to decide that?
I think you're going to know.
If you have multiple kids, are they all the same?
Right. I didn't know that, there are laws where babysitting, you have to be over the age of 12 if there are more than 2 children in the home. My son is a part of a program called Learn to Grow, and they send us a list of things that you want your child to be able to do to push their independence. One of them said, walk to the store alone. I live in New York City, and he's 5. So as I'm writing a note to the school of, are you crazy?
Can you send me a copy of that?
They actually said, we know this doesn't apply to children in New York. It's a national plan. So it makes sense for someone who grew up in Luling, Texas, or where you all are, but it wouldn't make sense for someone in New York. There's not a one-size-fits-all here, it seems.
For every kid or every location. And listen, New York City is very big to me. I'm from a very rural area. What you all that live here might feel comfortable with your kids doing, maybe I wouldn't, but that's not my job to tell you what to do with your kids. Or the government.
Yeah, and the government. So right now, you're facing this fine and up to a year in jail. Are you afraid? Are you scared? How are you feeling?
I think anybody would be afraid. I don't want to be away from my kids for a year. I don't really care so much about the fine. I think it's more about the year in jail. But I've always been a little bit of a fighter, if I'm being honest. So I feel like it's important, especially for my kids, to see me stand up for something that I believe in. And because that's how I want them to be.
Josh, I couldn't help but see you touched her hand when I said, are you scared? I mean, you've got 4 kids. Like you said, the fine is one thing, but the idea of being put in jail because your 10-year-old walked to the store alone.
Yeah.
It does. It creates a sense of anxiety, a sense of fear. And not only, as parents, but within our children's too, is mom still going to be home? Is she going to be around? What happens if she goes to jail? And so we kind of had to begin preliminary conversations to prepare them for that potential reality. Now, we believe we're going to come through this thing on the right side. We firmly do.
Well, we will keep our audience posted. We've set up a national conversation, and I really think an important one as we try to balance safety with the idea that kids need to be and should be encouraged to be independent.
Agreed.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep you up to date. Go to our YouTube page for more. When we come back, another story ripped on the headline. Take a look at this car. It's nearly submerged